Welcome to my Indie Game of the Year list for 2024. It was a pretty strong year for indie games, so whittling the list down to a top 5 was quite difficult. But without further ado, let's get on with the list. My fifth favourite game from 2024 was Gestalt, Steam and Cinder, a Metroidvania inspired by 16 and 32-bit classics. What made this game stand out is that as well as getting the fundamentals right in terms of the combat, platforming and map exploration, developers Metamorphosis Games created a rich world with a compelling story. I really liked how throughout the game short vignettes would play out showing characters in other parts of the world, which advanced the plot and gave you some background on said characters. This meant when you finally met them for the first time, you already knew about their motives and character. The game didn't need to spend time introducing them to you. Another standout feature was the pixel work, which was some of the best I saw in any game in 2024, with brilliant animations in particular that contributed to making a good combat system really pop. Gestalt, Steam and Cinder is up there as one of my favourite Metroidvanias of all time. At number 4 is puzzle detective adventure game Between Horizons. Taking on the role of Stella, a security guard aboard first generation ship Zephyr, which is on its way to a new planet, you must investigate the incident that threatens to disrupt the Zephyr's social order and derail the mission. Much like their previous game Lacuna, Between Horizons features a really cool detective system, whereby you search for clues and then have to make the link between said clues before submitting your evidence to the captain. What you decide and who you choose to accuse affects how the story plays out, leading to a different ending depending on what you decide. I really felt like I was making proper deductions, and linking those decisions into the wider story gave them a lot more weight. I also liked the fairly open nature to the game, which allows you to explore and gave the ship a sense of place that would have been missing if the world had been more linear. I really like detective games, and Between Horizons was a really good one. Moving into the top 3, these next two games in particular are hard to separate, but you have to make tough choices in this line of work, so at 3 we have 1000 Times Resist. This is a game that I was interested in playing on release, but didn't get the chance to do so, and as the year went on and the praise for it became more widespread, my desire to play grew. Ostensibly a linear sci-fi narrative game with some light platforming, 1000 Times Resist excels in terms of the story it tells, one that explores themes around resistance, pandemics, and the relationship between mothers and daughters. It starts out fairly slowly, but around halfway takes a real turn and really goes some places. I loved how the game continued to add new layers to the narrative, defying my expectations and keeping me engaged. Outside of the story, the world that developer Sunset Visitor created felt unique and slightly otherworldly, but at the same time, strangely relatable. If you have any interest in narrative games, you need to check out 1000 Times Resist. A top list of indie games for 2024 wouldn't really be complete without Balatro. It might feel like a safe pick for some, but ever since the demo dropped on Steam in 2023, I was hooked. For those not in the know, Balatro is a roguelike that asks you to create poker hands to beat blinds that slowly increase in size. The twist is that you have access to various jokers that can wildly increase the score of the hands you play, into the millions if you are good enough. For some, it's a Skinner box where number go up, but there is more to it than that, with depth to the systems around the jokers you buy and the improvements you make to your deck of cards. I won't deny though that it feels really good when you get that perfect hand and you watch your score set on fire. I had a ton of fun with Balatro in 2024, and that is why it sits at number 2 on my list. At number 1 is a game that has come out before but was brilliantly remastered in 2024. A title that I would argue is perhaps the best adventure game ever made and one of my favourite games of all time. Broken Sword: Shadows of the Templars Reforged is developer Revolution Software's second attempt at remastering the first game in the brilliant Broken Sword series, and it brings the game bang up to date with beautifully restored art and remastered audio. Despite its age, the gameplay doesn't really show it, with puzzle design that doesn't feel unfair, apart perhaps from the infamous goat puzzle, and with an included hint system you will never get completely stuck. The game is carried by the central two characters, George Stobart and Nicole Collard, whose VO is masterful, and it's their relationship that drives the story to a certain extent. If you have never played this game before, I implore you to go out and get it, and if you have, you can now play it again in its finest form. So that was 2024, a real tour de force for the indie scene, and I look forward to playing many more brilliant indie games in 2025. Look out for my top 10 indie games releasing in 2025 video that will be dropping in the next week or so, where you can get a preview of what is to come in the year ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.